VGRT Gaming Podcast, episode 726, recorded on June 20th, 2024.
Welcome to the 726th edition of the TD Gaming Podcast and 559th episode of Video Game Roundtable. I am TJ Denzer.
I am Scott Dirk.
And I am Jonah Falcon.
The VGRT Gaming Podcast focuses on game news from around the industry.
Right, so we're only gonna get briefly about what we've been playing. I will say this, I played a game and I completed it, and it's not the game you thought it would be, because there's the new Chinese room, adventure game. Still goes to water. No, I did a game from last year, Chance of Shinar, and I actually 100%ed it. Do either of you know which game that is?
What is it's Chance of Shinar?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Really, a lot of people have raved about it. It's, I think by the same guys who did the Outer Wilds, I'm not sure. It's where you play this character, and you have to spend the entire time learning 4 different languages, and then speaking to them in that language. It's based on the Tower of Babel.
Oh, neat. It's got a nice, cool art style, too.
Yeah. So it was strangely engrossing. Once you get into it, you just can't stop playing, because now you gotta do all these puzzles and try and figure out what the runes mean for words, and eventually you end up having to translate for people. And it's one of the few games in which I 100%ed, and I 100%ed in like 3 days. But that means a lot of times I was awake until 4 a.m.
Wow, sounds like it got its hooks in you.
Yeah. Then I'll start playing the Chinese room game. Anyways, have you been playing the expansion for the Elden Ring?
I have. I played Shadow of the Erdtree for a review.
And?
It is very good. I enjoy it. It's also extremely hard. Like, it's ridiculously hard.
Here's the thing. Whenever people say a game like Elden Ring is hard, I say it's not hard. It's just a lot of grinding. It's a lot of grinding.
It's hard, Jonah. Some of us aren't that good.
It's grinding. It's grindy. Yeah.
Well, this is coming from a person that's played every single FromSoftware game and beaten them all, so I'm saying that among FromSoftware games, this expansion is probably the hardest thing I've ever seen them put out.
I hope you didn't.
And it's like, it is grindy, but there are also just things about it that some of these enemies are just ridiculous. They're the amount of stuff that you have to like sort of balance and sort out, and the fact that most enemies, they made the expansion so that no matter what level you're at, the enemies scale to you, and there's a certain resource in the expansion that you use to offset that scaling and gain an advantage over them. Okay. So at the very beginning, like, most enemies, regardless of like whether you're level 100 or level 999, they can two-shot you. And
there's also a patch in the game, particularly for one in which they allow you to use your horse for that boss who's an octopus and keeps teleporting himself all along this thing, so you don't have to run on your feet all the way to where he is. Now you can get back on your horse and ride to him.
I feel like that's the vibe of the whole game, the whole series, is that at any point in time, some mob can 1 or 2 shot you if you're not careful, or you're not paying attention, or you don't know how to take care of that particular enemy. And
in this case, it's just a hassle, because at some point he'll teleport away, and before you weren't allowed to get on your horse and find him. Now you can get on your horse and find him. Because every time you hit him, you do enough damage, he teleports to another part of the map, and it just was annoying. It was like it was worse than grindy. It was just having to go all the way there on foot, when really you should be able to use your horse just to get there.
Yeah, but it's a good expansion. Like, they made a big new map. It's like, I wouldn't say it's as large as the base game's map, but it is very big. It's probably, as far as just like time spent on it goes, like, I've spent about 28 hours in there, and that's like picking over every stone and trying to find everything that I can because I love hunting secrets in these games. And just like that I've seen that's kind of par for the course among fellow reviewers, is that like, this is an expansion that will take you about 25 to 35 hours, depending on how hungry you are for secrets.
Yeah, this is one of those games I call a Wikipedia game, not a Wikipedia, a wiki game or a fandom game. Now, wiki's been called fandom now. It's called a fandom game because you eventually have to end up looking through the fandom page for Elden Ring to find out where some stuff is. Like, oh, you don't know where it is? Well, it's here at a certain time of day and under this rock behind this secret door that you can only get by getting a key from this chest that's under the water that you would never have stumbled upon if you didn't see it before.
Yeah, I mean, but like during review, I don't have access to that stuff because nobody's played it yet.
No, well, you'd be surprised. I played a game that's on its second day, and it's like already there's a wiki and how you beat it. Yeah,
I know. That stuff is going to flow up like whoa, because there's plenty of secrets in this game and plenty of things that people will want to know answers to. But I'm enjoying it. I found a weapon in the game that's like one of my favorites now. It's a giant like meteor greatsword.
It's funny you guys mention that it's a wiki game because people used to complain that Simon's Quest was like that, where you had to have a
but you had to pay Nintendo's hotline for that, or you had to buy a copy of Nintendo Power. Wikis are generally free.
People are still buying guides or still want them. It's crazy.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, TJ wrote one for ukulele.
Yeah, and like the FromSoftware guides, like the wiki guides that Jonah's talking about, those things are extensive. I'm not gonna lie, I've used them at points or some points or another because I wanted to find certain things or figure out how to answer certain things that I didn't know.
There's just so many times you can hit your head against the wall before you decide you need to check the wiki.
Mm-hmm. I'm also kind of pissed at FromSoftware because they did in that same balance patch that they released today, they nerfed a certain skill, which was one of my most used skills, and effectively destroyed one of my builds right before a boss fight.
They also warn people that the Steam Deck may not work with the game.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's like crashing the game or I hope
it's freezing it. It's like it doesn't register any movement.
It sounds like they're moving quick on trying to get a solution for that, though, so at least that's good.
You'll have to forgive me if I'm not sympathetic. It's a PC game. Play on your fucking monitor.
Well, if it's Steam Deck certified, it's Steam Deck certified.
Play it on your use your keyboard, mouse, or your gamepad and use it on your monitor. You don't have to sleep playing Elden Ring. Maybe that's wrong. I know that maybe TJ wants to sleep while playing Elden Ring.
I can't sleep while playing Elden Ring. That game will kick my ass if I even blink.
Okay, here's a question. Right? Here's a question for the episode, and any listeners can answer this. What game did you play so much you ended up dreaming about?
For me, that would be Suikoden.
Okay, which one, or is it all of them?
1 and 2.
Okay. How about you, TJ? Was there a game that you dreamt about?
I played Civ 5 so much when it first came out that my spouse told me that one night I rolled over and swatted their shoulder, and they were like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "I gotta move my tanks into American territory so I can spread my religion."
I would imagine that would have been Scott or Scott who would dream about Civilization, or Dan Quick.
Yeah, I'm getting invaded. I gotta get my units going.
For me, it was Sid Meier's Pirates, the original Commodore 64 game. I played that endlessly, and I would dream about the map and doing stuff in the game. It was weird. That game took a hold of me. Actually, most Sid Meier games took a hold of me long before Civilization came out. I mean, just Railroad Tycoon just ate up every single day of mine in college and everywhere else. I love that game. I wish they would just make an updated version of it. All the Railroad Tycoons, like Railroad Tycoon 2, 3, Railroads and all that stuff, they don't do what Railroad Tycoon, the original one, did. It was top down, and I don't know. Sometimes all you need to do is just slap an old game with a new coat of paint so that it works on modern computers, and that's all people really want, you know? Anyways.
Yeah.
Was there any new game that you played, or just the same old, Scott?
I played Cleo's Pirate Tale. So it was a Kickstarter game, I think, last year, and it's a point and click story, narrative game where you're figuring out little puzzles, and you play this little girl who was in her dad's bar and basically ends up on a ship and then stranded, and she goes on this whole entire adventure because she's really loves the whole pirate stories, and she wanted to kind of be a pirate and go on an adventure, and now I guess she's getting that adventure. I also played the Bow Path of Teal Lotus demo. It's a Metroidvania game in style of Hollow Knight, but with a Japanese aesthetic, with Japanese mythology, and you're playing this little fox spirit, and you have a staff, and you can turn it into a bat and other weapons, and yeah, and it plays just like a Metroidvania where you unlock certain things and you go back to areas to power up. It's really nice game as well.
Yeah, I played a bunch of demos on Steam, but the problem is I don't remember what they are because what happens is that when you uninstall the demo, it hides itself. I did play the Blackjack demo, but I talked about that last week, the roguelike Blackjack game, which I'm looking forward to seeing the full version of. So we're going to move on to quick news. First, today at 7, they showed off Beyond Good and Evil, the 20th anniversary edition, even though it's the 21st anniversary. They never get that right. And I said, yay, okay, we have some more, we have more realistic water, sharper images. It's not too much different than, because remember, the game came out in 2003, but there was also a 2011 HD version of it. Excuse me. By the way, Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced back in 2017, and it seems like it was announced back in 2010. It seems a lot longer, but 2 years ago they had someone new come on, so we'll see what happens there.
I saw that they're going to be putting in some new content that is going to act as connective tissue between the first game and the second game. Yeah,
they added collectibles too, and they have actually some pretty cool concept art. The earliest concept art is from 1999 when the game was first being conceived of, and it's interesting to look at.
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of like, so I'm kind of happy to see that they're actually addressing the second game because it feels like it's been a long time since we heard anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Here's the thing I'm wondering about. How much did the game change during 9/11? Because for those who played the game, a lot of it is commentary on post 9/11, right? But the game was conceived in 1999, so I have to wonder what changed. What did Marcel Ancel change in the game to have that kind of reflection?
No idea. And it's worth noting, I feel like the second game has to have changed a lot over the 7 years it's been in development too, because since the game's been in development, one of the directors was pushed out for sexual harassment allegations.
Well, that was everybody at Ubisoft. Come on.
But there was the creative director. He died last year. So no, a different guy. He was the creative director of the game up until I think May of 2023. He passed away.
But no, Michel Ancel left Beyond Good and Evil 2 in 2020. So
yeah, he's not even. He was pushed out, if I remember.
Well, correctly. I just said that. Why did you say it wasn't him?
No, because it wasn't him. The guy that died was Emile Morel.
Oh, okay.
He died last year.
He also had a game that was called Wild back in 2014 that was announced by Sony.
Emile Morel or Michel Ancel?
Michel Ancel, and it's 10 years later. There's no word of it. By the way, did you notice that he got a special thanks in Psychonauts 2?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he got a special thanks.
Huh.
I don't know for what, but he got it. Although, everybody knows that what he's really been famous for is the Rayman games.
Yeah, but it was a shame about Morel because, he had been working on the game in light of, a lot of people being pushed out. He replaced Guillaume Carmona, who was the lead after he was the lead that was ousted.
I don't know what he's doing. Who knows what he's doing? I mean, the second video for Beyond Good and Evil 2 was such a turnoff. It was just oh, is this what they're doing with the game? Pass.
I mean, we haven't even seen gameplay at this point.
No, they showed gameplay. Yeah, they showed what was basically target gameplay. It's no, God, no. They're turning it into an Ubisoft game. It was such a turnoff. It was shown off in 20. I don't know. But I just know that what I saw was oh, God. Yeah. Anyways, so we're having the 20th anniversary edition, which looks nice, but it doesn't make me want to run out and buy it, maybe just to get achievements. Some additional quick news. Miles Edgeworth is getting the remaster treatment in Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. So if you enjoyed the Ace Attorney trilogy, well, guess what? You're getting more.
This is the last one, too. They've pretty much remastered every single one of the Ace Attorney games after this one comes out.
This also looks like it's in a different format than the previous ones, because you're actually moving the characters around in an area, kind of exploring it, almost like a point and click game.
Don't worry. I mean, there's always the next Ace Attorney trilogy will be, we're doing it, but this time in 8K and ray traced. You know what? Actually, you know what I would love to see? If they released a compilation of every single Professor Layton game and put it in one thing for console. I mean, did they ever release Ace Attorney meets Professor Layton?
That's the one that I think they haven't actually remastered yet.
But I'm just saying.
Remastered.
But here's the thing. I'm saying all the 3DS games, Did it start on the 2DS or was it a 3DS game? I think it started on 2DS. I mean, it started on the DS. Yeah, it started on the DS. All the Nintendo handheld Professor Layton games, put them all in. Now, I know it's going to be kind of tough because a lot of those puzzles require touch, but that's fine. You can just do a mouse. You can do a mouse or a keyboard version of it. But yeah, I mean, I would like to play all of them. I only played one Professor Layton game.
I played all the Professor Laytons. I really love those. Definitely looking forward to when that steampunk one comes out, whenever that one.
I played both of the PopCap versions of Professor Layton. What was the name of it again? It starred this guy who was in Minnesota, and it was just a really weird game with gremlins and all that stuff. I forgot the name of it. But it was basically Fargo meets Professor Layton. Anyways, moving on. Banana Clicking Game is now the 9th most popular game of all time on Steam. Knocks Baldur's Gate 3 out of the top 10. You want to talk about this,
went down
TJ?
to number 13.
Okay. Do you want to talk about this, TJ? I know you covered this.
The Banana Clicking Game?
You don't know the Banana Clicking Game?
No.
Here's how it is.
Look that up.
There's a banana, and you click on it.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Huh.
Look it up. Banana Clicking.
Pretty much on the level of not Angry Birds.
It's not even on the level of Flappy Birds. It's not even on that level. No, this is just clicking it. And
it's so dumb.
The thing is that the developers say it's not a scam. Obviously not. But also, they're recording all the clicks, so,
it's free.
Here's the thing. If somehow I think this is attached to crypto mining somehow. I just know it. Embracer Group shuts down Pieces Interactive. Alone in the Dark was the studio's final game. They also made Puzzlegeddon, Fret and Ice, Leviathan Warships, RoboSurf, and Kill to Collect, as well as work for hire titles such as Magicka 2 and several DLCs for Magicka. Does anybody still play Magicka? For those who don't know, it's the wizard shooting game.
That game was way too fast paced for me, having to do all the buttons. It was just it gets crazy. I mean, there's a reason why I like turn-based games, and Magicka was just way too much for me. Too much bullet hell.
Today they had additional news and saying that they were going to do all their artwork by AI, and I'm wondering what they mean by that, because here's the thing: a lot of companies use AI, but it's not to create; it's more like to smooth out and stuff like that. You know how it is like you just want, you make a picture and there's like jaggies, and I say, okay, let's clean this up using some AI. Not create pictures from AI. Although I have been sending pictures on our website. You haven't seen them yet. I posted them on Twitter. And it's really weird here's the thing. ChatGPT will tell you, I can't do that. It's copyrighted. Okay. But then I said, depict a short, fat Italian video game plumber, jump in the air, fists raised, he wears a comical jumpsuit, and the damn thing posts Mario. And I didn't even ask it to put the M on his hat. It's just Mario. And then I did create an image of a baseball player wearing a black pinstripe on white uniform and an NY cap celebrating a game-winning home run, his teammates mobbing him at the plate, and it creates a Yankee, a bunch of Yankees. And here's the thing. I didn't ask it. It put the friggin' nice Nike swoosh on the uniform. It put the Nike swoosh on the uniform. I'm going to post that right now. And then, here's the picture. And then, check this out. I said, okay. Let me get to the ChatGPT there. Create a superhero breaking out of glowing green chains. His costume should be blue with red trunks, a yellow belt, and an S and a pentagonal shield on his chest. He should also have a red cape. Guess what it made? Superman. And I just said an S and a pentagonal shield on his chest. Yeah, the S is exactly what Superman will have. There's alternative S's like the one from Kingdom. No, it did Superman. It's like the software is saying, oh, you want that? Oh, I know what you want. Wink, 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 wink. So yeah, you can get around copyright with it. Although I will say the Mario they made, since I said it was short and fat, he looks more like Wreck-It Ralph cosplaying as Mario. He has the exact Wreck-It Ralph arms and legs. So yeah. Life is Strange Double Exposure will respect both endings to the original game. There's no canon ending in our book to the first game, says Life is Strange Double Exposure's game director. And by the way, I think it's a moot point anyway, because the entire point of Double Exposure is a multiverse. So of course you could have both endings in it, you know? You can have all the endings because the entire game deals with alternate realities. By the way, I was surprised at how much excitement there is over Life is Strange, especially since it's bringing back Max Caulfield.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last week. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see a sequel that respects multiple endings of the previous game as if they were canon. That's not something you often see with a story-based game, and I don't know how they're going to be able to.
Deus Ex Human Revolution tried to have it all every 3 ways because Deus Ex, you remember, has 3 endings. You have the J.C. Denton becomes a virtual god. You have a new Dark Age, and you have one in which the Illuminati takes over. And the way Deus Ex Invisible War takes it is that all the endings happened, except they all failed. So yeah. Are you excited over Life is Strange? I mean, I enjoyed Life is Strange True Colors.
I've never dove deep into Don't Nod's games. I know a lot of people that love those things, and it sounds like they've been like pretty transformative. I would say pretty great for a lot of people. There was just a time period where like a lot of those style of narrative choice games were coming out, and I was kind of burnt out on them after The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah. Did you play Tell Me Why?
I did.
Okay, that one, I don't know if it's actually Don't Nod or not. It's very Don't Nod in its style. And the thing about Don't Nod is that it's sort of like a slice of life from a teen or a young adult, except one of them has magic powers, and that's how it, whatever the magic power is. Tell Me Why is about twins, and one of them who's female to male transsexual, which is interesting. I never saw that before in a game. Who have the ability to meld minds. And the problem I had with it was, in the end, it was just, I love the characters. I love their personalities. I just wish the story was about something less mundane, and basically it was about their dead twin. They had a brother who died when very young, and his existence was hid from them. I said, actually, I will say this. I stopped playing it. I started playing it again, and that's the Unfinished Swan. Simply because the Unfinished Swan, for those who don't know, is Easter egged in What Happened to Edith Finch. Yeah, that's a game that I could play again. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah. By the way, it took me a long time to figure out that the Edith Finch that is referred to in the title was not the protagonist. It was Edie. It was the grandma. The title is talking about the grandma. And actually, and people have noted this, but the grandmother was kind of evil. She manipulated everybody because she didn't want anybody to leave. And she created a curse. She made up a curse and drove it into their heads that, they were going to all die in weird ways. And it was basically a self-fulfilling curse, right? For most of them. And it's sort of like all these stories about how they're trying to get away from her. And when Edith's mother and her, was it her sister, whatever, they left, they fled her. That's when the grandma decided to kill herself by taking poison. And she was 93, so
yeah,
there was no curse. It was just a self-fulfilling one. I thought it kind of poignant that Edith Finch never survives the events of the game. She dies in childbirth. And the entire story is her telling the story to her son, who's now 10. Still, it's one of those games you have to play every so often. Like, I play Grim Fandango, even though I know everything about it. I play it so often, it's like reading a book, rereading a book. Are there any adventure games that you reread, that you replay, even though you know everything in it?
Yeah, definitely.
Which one?
King's Quest 6.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few old school point and clicks that I like going back to for nostalgia purposes. Sam and Max are a few of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
I have Sam and Max. I've never completed the first episode. Something always draws me back from it.
So I like the Telltale Sam and Max series, but I also love the Lucas.
I have the original LucasArts. Yeah.
LucasArts games one.
I have the original.
The LucasArts one is the one I played.
Yeah. What's interesting is also I enjoy playing the Poker Night games simply because you have Sam and Max in them.
Yeah.
Both Sam and Max in the second one. Strong Bad, the Red Heavy are in the first one, along with Max, and who else is in the first one? It's Strong Bad, the Red Heavy, Max, and someone else, and I don't remember who. Oh well. I know that it's Brock from Venture Brothers, Sam and Max. Max is playing, but Sam is playing, but Max is constantly there. Claptrap and Ash from the. By the way, you might not know this, but the voice actor who does Ash in that game was Rick in Birdemic. Just so you know. So when you see Birdemic and you see the guy who says a day without sex is a day wasted, that's the guy who did Ash's voice, and he does pitch perfect. A lot of people actually thought it was the original actor for Ash, but it isn't. It's him.
Interesting.
Gamescom news. Microsoft says it's going to be back at Gamescom, and it's going to be even bigger, and was pretty big last time. Nintendo won't be back, and that's fine, because I believe that had they actually announced the Switch 2, they would have been at Gamescom, but it wasn't announced, so they decided to skip it for this year and just concentrate. When the Switch 2 is finally announced, they'll have it at Gamescom. Sony hasn't been to Gamescom since 2019. As a matter of fact, I was surprised to learn this, but it's actually true. There hasn't been a PlayStation Experience convention since 2017. I mean, they had it in Southeast Asia the next year, but they stopped having any sort of they didn't have a PlayStation Experience since 2017. So yeah. So you still go to Gamescom, TJ?
I haven't been there since I think 2019.
Okay.
I still cover it frequently from home because they still run a lot of the coverage online with with Jeff Keighley's opening night live and a few other presentations that they do during the event. That said, I think it's very interesting to see two of the big three just bowing out. And I think you're right about Nintendo. I think they've got they just have their Direct that we'll get to eventually, but other than that, they're kind of in a holding pattern until that Nintendo Switch 2 news drops.
Yeah. And they'll have their rows of Nintendo Switch 2s to demo at next year's Gamescom.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. Microsoft is very interested in getting a bigger part of the Europe pie, because that's where their money is right now. I mean, United States, people seem to think Microsoft is losing. No, actually they're neck and neck with Sony in the United States, right? But it's in Europe and other regions that they do not have a good slice of the pie, and that's where they're focusing right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have the game news, and you know what? I told you guys yesterday, it was going to take something big to supersede the Nintendo Direct. Well, this one is kind of big and kind of a bummer. The Sims-like rival Life by You has been canceled after an indefinite delay, and this comes from Eurogamer. Following multiple delays, Paradox Interactive has canceled its sim-like game Life by You. Announcing the cancellation last night, Deputy CEO Matthias Leja called the decision difficult, saying it was a clear failure on Paradox's part to meet our own and the community's expectations. He went on to explain why the studio ultimately decided to cancel its release rather than continuing to delay Life by You further. The exec said while a time extension was an option, it was eventually becoming clear that the road to leading to a release that we felt confident about was far too long and uncertain. And I know exactly what happened. You don't have to tell us. The developer was scamming you. That's as blunt as I can get. They were scamming Paradox. They kept on giving them false reports and these gameplay bullshit, and they kept on delaying it. And finally, Paradox had to come down and say, "What have you actually done?" And they found out, "Oh, you've done almost nothing."
That's a damn shame too, because they had Rod Humble on as director, which he was an early lead on a lot of the first Sim games, and then he bowed out. Somebody else took over. And they monetized the holy hell out of The Sims to the point where that game has more DLC than as far as paying for it all, that game has probably about as much in the terms of costly DLC as Crusader Kings.
Oh no, I'm sorry, but it dwarfs Crusader Kings 3.
Yeah, it's like $700. It's over $700 if you want to buy everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so I was excited. I know a lot of other people who are excited because the idea of getting a competing Sims game sounded great. Sims needs to be checked. Sims needs competition, so they have to actually try. And I don't know. This is just so much disappointment in one story.
Like I said,
I'm really upset that this game is not going to come to life.
If they had anything, they would have delayed it.
Yeah.
If they had anything worth saving, they would have delayed it. But they didn't. I'm pretty sure they had rudimentary stuff, but it wasn't going to be anything good. You know all these games that come up as challenges to Madden, like Axis Football and all that stuff, and what you get is people praise them because they want anything to be, to be a competitor with Madden, but they're mostly all garbage. The one that isn't garbage is the one that mimics Tecmo Bowl. I think it's called, God, I own it too. What is it called again? The one that emulates Tecmo Bowl, Franchise Bowl?
Not Sunday Rivals.
No.
I know what you're talking about because I love that game. Hold on, let me pull it up. Legend Bowl.
Legend Bowl, right. So I have that, and it's good, but, it's not going to, no one's going to, confuse it with Tecmo. People want a realistic football sim. But they all fail because, believe it or not, making a video game is hard, and making a life sim is really hard. It's extremely hard to make a football game because you have 22 AIs working at once, right? And they have to be realistic, right? Same deal with a good life sim, A good life sim, you'll allow it to run it by itself for a bit, which is kind of a lie with the Sims 2 or the Sims 3, because if you leave them alone, if you leave any Sims alone, they're just not going to know what to do. It's like they need you. It's like, I don't know when to go to work. Well, go to work yourself, you idiot. But I want to go potty first. It's like they're idiots, But regardless, it's hard to do a life sim. It's really hard. You know what I'd like to see is someone do a remake of Creatures or Little Computer People. Can you imagine Little Computer People with a modern chatbot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this. A friend of mine said that he had Little Computer Games, and his name was Mark. And the little computer person in his, because here's the thing, for those who don't know, every single copy of Little Computer People was different. Their Little Computer People were different look, different names, and all that. His Little Computer Person name was Mark, and when he asked him what his name was, and he responded Mark, the Little Computer Person got pissed because he thought he was fucking with him. He didn't believe that his name was Mark. So for a long time, he just acted really pissy, saying, stop making fun of me. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Little Computer Person, just one person. And, there is such a game. It's called Tamagotchi. And, I was surprised to find out Tamagotchi is still around.
It is, yeah. It's also worth noting, it's still a long shot because, they only just announced that this is what they're going to be trying. But Jake Solomon formed a new studio, Midsummer Studios, and he is trying for a life sim. So it'll be interesting to see what Solomon comes up with. That, for those who don't know, is the director behind the new XCOM games. He directed XCOM Enemy Unknown, and he directed XCOM 2, and he directed Marvel's Midnight Suns, which didn't do well when it first came out, but a lot of people are discovering that game now and finding out it is a banger, which I could have told them when it came out. I love that game. So we'll see what comes out of that. I really hope that Jake Solomon is able to get it going with Midsummer.
Yeah. By the way, they just came out with Tamagotchi Adventure Kingdom, but it's only on Apple Arcade. It's only on Apple TV, iPad, iPhone, and Mac OS. But you know what that means is that you'll just have to wait a year before. What happened to Apple? Wasn't Apple Arcade decided just done with? It's like they just decided they weren't going to do it anymore or something like that.
It still exists, but apparently it's very fewer games are being greenlit for Apple Arcade right now. Apparently the discussion about what gets a game greenlit on Apple Arcade is pretty strict. The Apple wants very tight exclusivity on that. And it's not a winning program, I'll say that much.
Yeah, especially now that a lot of those games are coming over to PC, like Oceanhorn.
Oh, they all do. I mean, look at Untitled Goose Game, and what was the name of that game? Threes. I still play Threes on my Xbox. It's not the sort of game you normally play on an Xbox, but I do. Oh, Goat Simulator was on an arcade too. Anyway, I just have to wait a bit.
Yeah.
But like I said, I would love to see Little Computer People come back. Anyways, let's move on to the Nintendo Direct. We can start anywhere, but I'm just going to start with the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And this one is going to have Zelda as protagonist. And upon seeing it, you know what my first thought was? It's like, oh, Nintendo saw Tunic and said, hey, this is how we make a Zelda game. Tunic was more Zelda than Zelda. So they said...
people were seeing Wand of Gamelon from CDI that's what this is like.
Yeah, but the visuals are pure Tunic.
Well, they're the engine of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, the Link's Awakening remake.
Yeah, but the aesthetic is still pure Tunic.
I think the Link's Awakening remake may have come out before Tunic. Let me make sure of that.
Tunic's been in development for a very long time. We know this.
That is true.
No, I mean, the entire aesthetic is Tunic. Anyways, Zelda's the protagonist this time.
Link's Awakening remake came out in 2019. Tunic came out in 2022.
Yeah, and Tunic was first announced when?
Yeah, but regardless, it's still
regardless, Tunic was more of a Zelda game than any Zelda game that was released for a very long time.
Okay.
It's true.
Link's Awakening is really great, though.
Yes, it is.
That remake is fantastic. It looks like a Playmobil playset set in the Zelda universe.
First things first, let's talk about Echoes of Wisdom. So what was your impressions?
It looks like a sequel to Link's Awakening, which is why I like it even more.
I agree. It looks like a sequel there. My wife and daughter want to play it. I want to play it. And it looks like a nice change, a nice experiment. And I'm very happy how the internet has embraced this game and already made many memes and then fan art for it.
You know what I'm hoping is that it isn't like other Zelda games in which she's the thing in which her power is to cry and do emotions. The only time they haven't done that with her was the Raving Rabbids game, in which instead they gave her a shotgun.
I remember she was in Hyrule Warriors. She had a sword and was hacking and slashing like the other characters.
Okay, but in games like this, her power is often her emotions. It's always felt like it's condescending.
Well, this one's not doing anything like that. It's you're making echoes of, I guess, things that you find in the game, monsters and items and furniture or whatever, and you're using that to solve the puzzles, which looks like fun. You know what I want? I want to see a game with Pauline in it.
Yeah, that would be... Well, you're looking at the Mario series for that, but I would like to see Pauline make a return in another Mario game as well. She was cool in Odyssey. I also like that they're doing, they're not afraid to try new and interesting mechanics. They're not just, making a Zelda game where you play as Zelda and it's just the same thing, but with Zelda. The Echoes mechanic looks like it's going to be fun, because you can copy, furniture and all sorts of things throughout the world, but you can also copy monsters and gain their powers. And I just am tickled by the idea of, what if you can copy the chickens and use them as, a Master Sword tier ultimate weapon? Because if you know anything about the Cuckoos in the Zelda universe, they are the deadliest creatures in that world by far.
You know that Zelda has a sword in this game, but she doesn't use it.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of her abilities are going to be mostly focused on the Tri-Rod.
It seems like a lot of puzzle solving is what the focus of this is.
Well, here's the thing. She has an Echo, right? She has Zelda's Echo. And basically what it tells me is that they're going to do a soft remake of Majora's Mask.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I know people would love to see Link to the Past done in this style as well.
Yeah.
To see if they do that.
I mean,
there's a lot of cool things going on. It's very interesting to see where they're going with this one.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it reminds me of a ray-traced Minecraft game. At least the visuals. There's just something about the land that just reminds me of Minecraft for some reason. When they have the ray tracing on, but everything also looks like it's made of plastic. Is why.
Yeah, it's very modular. It's like Legos.
So the other elephant in the room is Metroid Prime 4.
Well,
another game that's been 7 years in the making, and will take just one more.
Yeah, so they say. Watch this. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 years before it actually comes after it's been announced. No, I mean, here's the thing. I've never known Nintendo to have extended delays. They've had delays, but never extended delays.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't delay the Tears of the Kingdom that much, so I think this may still come out on this Switch or be playable on this Switch.
I have a theory about a lot of the games we saw in the Nintendo Direct showcase, and it extends to Metroid Prime 4 especially. I have a feeling that a lot of these games are being built to be they're going to be able to play on the original Switch, but they're going to have some sort of upgrade when
forward compatibility. Gee,
yeah.
By the way, I have a feeling that's going to be the same way with a lot of the Xbox games we saw at the thing. I'm willing to bet you anything that Fable and Perfect Dark Zero are actually next-gen games that will have compatibility with previous gens up to Xbox One. I'm willing to bet you anything, especially the Indiana Jones. that looks like it's going to make heavy use of the Unreal Engine, and it's going to be like whatever the XSX2 is going to be the main platform for it.
But the game that I was interested in was Dragon's Quest III Remake. Got a release date.
HD 2D.
Yep, HD 2D. Got a release date, and they showed a trailer with more information. Apparently, there's voice acting. There's a new job class. There's additional content.
And you got your wish. And you got your wish, Scott, because they also announced Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are going to have the same treatment.
Yep. And that's coming out next year. And the Dragon Quest 3 is coming out November. I can't remember the day. I think it's 17th, 15th, something like that. But it's coming out this November.
Yeah, it's going to be multi-platform. It's coming out on every platform.
Oh yeah, I'll be getting that one on Steam because I want that one on Steam.
Yeah. For me, so let's. We can also now talk about the next Mario game. Weirdo game. To me, it's weirdo. It's Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Luigi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked good.
It's a weird game.
Yeah, and it's like those games. This one marks the trifecta of interesting and weird Mario RPG franchises getting new life on the Nintendo Switch. Because now we've had Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, and finally Mario and Luigi, which is another RPG series that a lot of people love. I never got to play Bowser's Inside Story and the one that came after that, but I hear people talk about how charming they were regularly.
The first game was okay. The second one, I hear, was kind of hackneyed. It didn't have the same energy as Inside Story. Because instead of being inside, it's like now the outside is influencing the inside, and who cares about that? No, it's inside affecting the outside, like massaging his muscles, makes him stronger, that sort of thing. So, yeah. It also makes you wonder about his colon, but, you know. But, yeah, this game is weird looking, a little weird playing. And here's the thing. I'm hoping they bring back some teeth. Like I said, I hope they have Pauline. I hope they have Princess Daisy. When's the last time you saw Princess Daisy in a game? I think she had that one game when she was with Peach.
You could play.
I don't care about games like Mario Tennis, which you can select her. No, I mean as a character.
No, I think you could play her in Super Mario Odyssey.
That's just a palette swap, basically. I don't know.
I mean, arguably, she's always been a palette swap.
Yeah, poor Daisy. Poor Daisy gets no respect. No, really, she gets no respect at all, especially not from Nintendo. So
there's a lot of people.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that's
fine. I was just gonna say, there's a lot of people out. There's a lot of fandom out there for Daisy, but it's kind of the same as Waluigi, and I don't know. I imagine Nintendo has to see it, but I also think that they kind of just ignore it.
A lot of the game, a lot of the show was not very interesting. The weirdest to me was Metal Slug Attack Reloaded, which is coming on all platforms. And weirdness isn't the fact it's a Metal Slug tower defense game. No. But we've talked about this game before a long time ago because it was a mobile game that was abruptly stopped in 2023. You remember that? A lot of people were pissed off.
Which one was it?
Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. A Metal Slug Attack, but then it was...
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of this one, just because, they're already doing Metal Slug Tactics. I'm far more interested in that. It looks much more fun.
But here's the thing.
Like a card battler.
No, it's a tower defense game. And here's the thing. It was a mobile game for a very long time, and they decided to cancel it in 2023 for no real good reason. Now we know the reason. I'd have to be pissed if I was someone who was really into the mobile game.
Yeah, I felt nothing for it. I'm much more interested in seeing Metal Slug Tactics come out. That looks much more fun.
Another game that I'm interested in is Tales of the Shire, which was announced last month. Basically, from people who have demoed the game, it's Stardew Valley with hobbits, and instead of the focus being on farming, the focus is on cooking, which I'm all about. So it's a cozy game, so we'll see. I mean, Stardew Valley with hobbits, that sounds good to me. I wonder if Lobelia Sackville Baggins is going to be in it.
Huh. Yeah. I've always, I've never been quite sure about what to make of this Tales of the Shire game.
It's Stardew Valley. It's Stardew Valley with hobbits. Just think of it as that.
Which sounds super pleasant and chill, but I'm also kind of just jaded on licensed tie-ins to that kind of stuff. It could be good. It could also be schlocky and poorly put together.
Are you feeling a little... You feel like they've driven Lord of the Rings into the ground a bit?
I think you're worried about the things. Last Lord of the Rings game was Gollum. But here's the thing: is that this isn't exactly. I mean, we've had licensed games with this sort before. I mean, Disney has their what is it called, Starlight Valley or something like that. It's their version of Stardew Valley. Disney has their version.
The game looks interesting. I can imagine someone really wanting this. I can't imagine anyone really wanting that Gollum game. Like, that just didn't seem that interesting.
I did. Here's the thing. I was hoping because it looked like they were taking a lot of cues from the Middle Earth games, the Shadow games, but they didn't. Also, the story was kind of stupid when you take it from a Tolkienian thing. There were the only thing that stopped me from playing is just bugs, and I lost a huge, it has that infamous bug in which, you have to redo all this stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. We have another Mario Party. Yawn.
I'm always excited for more Mario Party. It's been a while since we got the last one, and Superstars was pretty decent. It was but it was also just kind of a repackaging of a lot of older levels and mini games into one thing. I'm ready to see something a little bit more original in the series. I'm sure it's Mario Party, and I'm sure it won't be entirely all new stuff as far as it is iterations of older stuff. But there's no other game that I like getting mad at my friends at like Mario Party.
If that's the case, when are they going to make another WarioWare game?
They've made 2 for the Switch at this point.
Really?
Which is weird that series has gotten that much love on the Switch, whereas we haven't had a Star Fox game or a Kid Icarus game or a few other franchises on the Nintendo Switch.
The attempts at those 2 licenses recently have sucked. So maybe they're a little gun shy about making those games.
You leave Star Fox alone. He's amazing.
Star Fox Zero sucked. Come on. It was bad. Here's the thing.
Star Fox Adventures sucked. Star Fox Zero was passable at points.
Here's the thing. Making a rail shooter is hard to sell these days. You have to really be good at it. They had a what was it? Oh, they had a Dead Space rail shooter on the Switch, which is really highly rated. Was it? Yeah, it was Dead Space, wasn't it? The rail shooter they made for the Wii. Remember the Dead Space rail shooter?
I do remember that.
Scott, do you like this? You like Disgaea, right?
The Hobbit game?
Disgaea, come on.
Oh no, I've never played Disgaea. Sorry, no.
Really? I could have sworn you did. Because Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero is a tactical turn-based RPG from the creators of Disgaea. So
I'll have to look into that one.
Okay. I know that the game that TJ is really, really excited about is Just Dance 2025. Wasn't
I guess. I don't know. I don't.
Luigi's Mansion 2 is coming out. What?
Can I tell you what was actually my most favorite thing that I saw on this Nintendo Direct? Well,
it wasn't the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection, was it?
That was up there just because that was the most unexpected thing that we got to see out of that. Marvel vs. Capcom has been like a albatross for years, to the point where nobody thought that they were going to release another Marvel vs. Capcom game, and now the doors might be open because now we're getting Marvel, the entire Marvel vs. Capcom history. X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, X-Men versus Street Fighter, which is by far my favorite.
Do you know why?
What's that?
Do you know why? Because Ike Perlmutter is out.
That's nice. Wait,
Ike Perlmutter. He was
blocking that stuff.
No, he was a Marvel executive, and he was blocking that stuff because of Disney, right?
Ugh.
What's interesting is that the fighting collection is coming out for everything except Xbox.
This is a delightful turn. Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't understand why that's happening.
I mean, it's not like they're because the Ace Attorney games are coming to Xbox soon, but not the Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Yeah, but super exciting, and everybody in the fighting game community was like, "Whoa! Oh my God, it's happening!" And it's got everybody hyped because now, if Capcom
Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
if Capcom is willing to put all of this together and release it again with rollback netcode at that, then Marvel vs. Capcom 4 isn't so much of an impossibility anymore.
The only thing I can think of why it's not coming to Xbox, but everything else, is that there's something about the Xbox Online, because that's basically the entire point, is to play online.
Speaking of Capcom, they had that survey to see what was the most popular game that they had that people liked, and I know Dino Crisis was up there, which number 1, I think. I can't remember what 2 and 3 were, but Breath of Fire was 10, and I want them to do that, but they probably aren't, since it's that low on there. I don't know if there's any hope that they'll do Breath of Fire games or any ports or remakes or anything.
So are you going to play Luigi's Mansion 2 again, Scott?
Sure.
HD version coming out next week.
Yeah, I saw that. That looked nice.
See, that was the game that indicated that the Switch 2 was close by. They didn't announce it, but I'm pretty sure that, it's going to be one of those games in which they have the forward compatibility, in which if you play it on the Switch 2, it's going to look much, much nicer.
Huh. That's interesting.
You also have the HD version of Donkey Kong Country Returns, that is.
Yeah. That's another one that, like, all we've gotten of the Donkey Kong series in the Switch generation is remasters and remakes of older Donkey Kong games. We haven't gotten an original Donkey Kong Country this entire console generation. And I know that folks love Donkey Kong because they talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a lot of people, Diddy Kong Racing is one of the things they'd like to see on the Super Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 64 library on the Switch. But we'll see. I will mention that the other thing that I was most excited to see come out of this Nintendo Direct was Fantasia Neo Dimension.
Oh yeah, that made me happy.
It was confined to Apple Arcade, and then now we're going to get it on other consoles, which that was like a real dang shame that it was exclusive to Apple Arcade, because it might be Hironobu Sakaguchi's last game. That's
you know that there's no such thing as an Apple exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, they may say it's an exclusive, but it's not going to be.
But like,
It seems like with gaming in general that's the smallest percentage market for gaming. Because I've heard like
well, who's gonna play? Who's gonna pay $7 a month for that crap for the most part?
Yeah.
And again, Sakaguchi is the original creator of Final Fantasy. Not only that, but they also got Nobuo Uematsu to do the soundtrack for Fantasia. So this is like the greats doing one last swan song before they call it quits. Because
I thought that was Lost Odyssey.
Uematsu also said that he's probably not going to do another full game soundtrack. Both those guys are pretty much up there in years, and this is kind of like their last big thing before they call it quits. So I'm so excited to see Fantasia can get new life. I will play the shit out of that on day one. I should have been there for Apple Arcade on day one, but I will absolutely play it when it comes out on Switch.
So, speaking of party games, you also have the Looney Tunes Wild Wacky World of Sports, which is basically a string of party games, sports-themed party games, but still,
I do believe we saw Game Mill on deck for developing this, who are the people that do Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which instantly makes me not interested.
Really? I thought people liked that. I mean, for the very few people who actually played it.
I think Game Mill creates a lot of shovelware. Like, for what I've played of what they do.
Well, what does that say about Nintendo putting shovelware in their showcase? Seriously, then.
I think the Looney Tunes are the thing that they saw, and they're like, okay, Looney Tunes game.
How about Neo looked good. That was there.
Oh yeah, Meow is a really strange looking game. It's got that. Remember Gree? It has the same kind of graphics, it seems to me. Not the same style, but it has that pencil art look to it, which is coming out, by the way, for every platform. So it's a Metroidvania. It's just the last game you'd expect to be a Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm.
No real release date, just 2025. Do you remember the game Mechanarium?
Yeah, I have that.
It's sort of like the same kind of hand-drawn stuff. Mechanarium was very, black and white and grays, and doesn't have colors in it, but still. It just looks like a very strange game.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of ports that are coming. I mean, Stray is finally coming to the Switch. Darkest Dungeon 2 is finally coming to. Is there a real call for this game? I mean, Stray is kind of like a Switch game, like one of those games you'd find on Switch.
Stray is beautiful, so I'm actually kind of surprised that they can get that game to run on Switch.
How about
Stray is a downright gorgeous. I've played Stray from beginning to end, and that game is absolutely gorgeous.
So, as someone who was with Twin Galaxies, what do you think of Nintendo World Championships NES edition?
I think it's cool as hell. The idea of being able to race against ghosts of my friends playing the same games and try to beat their times.
So yeah, there are 150 speedrunning challenges from 13 NES games.
I always liked the way that Nintendo sets up the World Championship stuff too, because it's like you play bite-sized segments of existing games and you try to do weird stuff in them. You're right, it's usually speedrunning, but sometimes it's stuff like collect a certain amount of coins before the time runs out, or defeat Bowser at the end of this weird setup level. And I like that. I really liked the NES remake or remix games where they did stuff kind of like this. And so to see it put to the themes of the Nintendo World Championships is even more fun. And they're even coming out with a gold cartridge physical edition for this, which I kind of want to get my hands on.
I still have an NES, so I could possibly play it with a gold cart. Here's the thing. People think the NES is... No, you can buy one at any used video game store for $20. There's a lot of them, and they're also indestructible. So you could toss one of those things off a 10-story building and come out just fine. Those things would not break.
Yeah.
You talked about Fantasian, right? What do you think of Farmigia?
What is it called?
Farmigia. Oh, come on. It's their...
Farmigia. I think it's that farm magic game or something.
Yeah, it's basically it's sort of like a Monster Hunter and other stuff mixed together.
We've gotten a lot of those recently. It's interesting that so many folks are doing that kind of game these days. I don't have much to say about it than that, but like it, if it works, it works, I guess. It seems like that genre is getting a little packed.
You know what it sort of reminds me of? It sort of reminds me of Slime Rancher.
Yeah?
Just the look of it. It looks like Slime Rancher. I tried to get into Slime Rancher too. I mean, I got part way through Slime Rancher and I just gave up because things were just getting complicated. And I'm going to tell you something. When they learn to bounce over those walls that you create, it just becomes irritating as hell. Because, oh no, they're going after my chickens. Stay away from my chickens. They're not for you. They're for other people. No. Oh, they're escaping. They're running away. And then everybody gets that disease in which they turns them into purple, dark purple. And it's like too many things to bounce around. I don't have time to keep track of all those slimes. So what did you think overall of the Nintendo show?
It's very good. I also liked the Romancing Saga 2 game. That looked it looks like a good game. It's like, I guess it's a remake.
Yeah, it was a lot. They I think a lot of people just thought they weren't going to put anything substantial out until Nintendo Switch 2. But then they were like, here's a release date for Metroid Prime. Here's a release window for Metroid Prime. Here's a new Mario game. Here's a Fantasian and a few other Apple Arcade exclusives coming to consoles.
I don't know. It just reminded me that Nintendo Switch Online sucks. They announced 4 games. Oh, big whoop. Big whoop. A Link to the Past, Four Swords, Metroid Zero Mission, Perfect Dark, and Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Who cares?
Metroid Zero Mission is dope, though. That's a great game.
Yeah. But here's the problem, is that it's sort of like pittance, you know? When compared, Xbox Game Pass has like 400 games on it, and some of them are new, you know? PlayStation Plus isn't as good, but it still has a better selection. It just... Yeah. Nintendo Switch Online is such a wasted opportunity. I think...
But at least the games won't leave in a year or so, like a lot of the games on Game...
All first-party... Well, here's the thing. All first-party games on Game Pass stay forever. Not on Sony. That's what it pisses off a lot of people. Because remember, they took Spider-Man off PS Plus when Spider-Man 2 was coming out, which baffled me. It's sort of like, why are you doing that? You think people are going to pay for Spider-Man now? Just because you have Spider-Man 2? No, you leave Spider-Man on the PS Plus so they get hungry for Spider-Man 2. I don't get it. But here's the thing. It's sort of like PlayStation Plus is a grudging olive branch because Game Pass exists, and Nintendo Switch Online is an even more grudging thing because PS Plus exists.
Yeah.
I don't think Nintendo has its heart in Nintendo Switch Online. They're doing it because, do we have to? Fine. Because if it was me, I would put every single Nintendo game and Super Nintendo game that ever existed on Nintendo Switch Online and said, you know what, you can play all of them, and they'll never go away. All of them.
Yeah, and that's been an issue across the entire Nintendo Switch history of they got rid of the virtual arcade or virtual console, and there's never going to be anything as good as that.
How many times do you have to purchase the 1985 version of Legend of Zelda? Seriously.
But putting that aside, new Zelda game, new Metroid Prime release window, Mario and Luigi.
I think for a lot of
Dragon
people,
Quest III.
I think for a lot of people, it's just new Metroid Prime 4. That's it. Okay, the rest of the show I don't care about. That's the only thing I
You're
care.
insane. The idea, like,
No, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who only cared about Metroid Prime 4 being announced.
Have you looked at the internet since they announced Echo of Wisdom?
I'm telling you.
There's literally just non-stop fan art of that game, and it's not even close to coming out.
So what? Fan art. I can find fan art of anything. Just go to.
Jonah, you don't get.
You're insane, Jonah.
It usually
You're insane
takes
if you
more
think
than a
people didn't
few
love that
fan
game.
art? You want fan art? You can find boy on boy art all over the place with yaoi fangirls.
Yeah,
No.
sure, but not. But like, listen. If you don't think that people are excited for Echoes of Wisdom, then you're probably not following the right.
I didn't say they weren't. It's just like, no, for a lot of people, it's like Metroid Prime. They knew a new Legend of Zelda was coming out.
There was something for
No,
like
they
every
didn't.
sicko out there here.
Yes, they
Not
did.
Jonah.
Oh, really? You seriously thought there wasn't another Legend of Zelda game coming out?
No, I really didn't. I had no idea. I didn't think anything Zelda was going to come. I thought they were done.
There was less chance of a new Halo game never coming out than another Legend of Zelda game never coming out.
I appreciate
Not
you trying to
before Switch
gaslight us
2.
into thinking that Zelda doesn't have clout, but it does.
I didn't say it didn't have clout. I'm just saying it's inevitable. There's always going to be a Legend of Zelda game, especially at the launch of a new console. And I'm willing to bet you they're going to delay this game until the Switch 2 is
After the
released.
console comes out, but not
They're gonna-
before.
Well, no, that's
The
not true.
point is that people were excited about it.
Okay.
And it's
Yes.
And I'm saying a lot of people were saying finally they announced Metroid Prime 4 because that
And a
was
lot of-
in doubt.
And there was a lot of people that was excited about Dragon Quest III because it looks even better than it did the last time. we saw it.
Here's the thing.
There was a lot of people
That's
that were
not
excited
saying
about Marvel vs.
there-
Capcom.
It's
that was like
how many
the
games
last
you
game
know?
of the
How many games you know are a national holiday for a country? Dragon Quest is one of them. So that wasn't in doubt either. And we all knew Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D was out because it was announced for every platform like a month ago.
Sure, but they haven't shown anything about it in a long time.
Yeah, and there were people that were thinking it was canceled.
No, it was never canceled.
And then Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was like, whoa, this is happening? Really? Seriously? Marvel and Capcom are friends again? Hooray.
Like I said, you can thank Ike Perlmutter for being kicked to the curb for that one.
The point is, like, put all your cynicism aside.
It's not
We
cynicism.
got a Zelda game that made people real happy. We got a Metroid Prime release window that made people happy. We got Mario and Luigi fans. They're out there. I've seen them. Dragon Quest fans are thrilled.
Oh,
Marvel
yeah.
vs. Capcom, the FGC was so excited to see that. This was a lot of good stuff.
This is a good direct.
Okay, well, there's one question I have. What was there that was not a sequel and not a remake that you liked?
The Zelda game.
That's a sequel. Come on.
That would be
So-
considered a sequel, I guess.
That's a sequel. Give me a break. By the way, if you go to Square Enix's page, they have Dragon Quest 3, 1, and 2 all together on the same page.
Fantasia Neo Dimension.
Okay.
I guess
not a
Mio
sequel.
then. Mio was it's its own game.
So here's the thing. Let's take all of the showcases all together, and I'm going to try and figure out which one is the most intriguing to me. It's hard.
It's definitely between Xbox and Nintendo.
No. I'm talking about individual games, not publishers. So I'm going to avoid doing any sequels, right? So Civ 7 out, Gears of War out, all these other games out, Perfect Dark out, Fable out, all these. I will have to say the new IP that I think I'm most interested in, and a lot of people have been interested in, is Expedition 33.
That's true. That is exciting. This looks like what Final Fantasy 16 should have been, and I've gotten into the story of what it's about.
Actually, it's less Final Fantasy and more Lost Odyssey. That's what a lot of people are saying.
Well, I mean, it has a very dark story. It's this. I guess this being paints a number on this statue, and the number keeps going down, and people die. And
no, here's the thing. That's the age. So 34, when it's taken off, everybody age 34 dead. Now it's everybody age 33 and under that are alive. That's what makes it so scary, is that she's eliminating people of a certain age as it goes down, 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 down. So let me see if Lost Odyssey is ever on anything but Xbox.
I think it's only been on Xbox.
Because, that's a game you really have to try. It is such a beautiful story about immortality, and there's just some... See, it's one of those games in which they interrupt the entire game to give you prose text for a couple of pages telling an actual story. You know what I'm talking about? Like you're reading from a novel. Some of the stories are really depressing. So it really questions what it's like to be alive. It also has one of the best trailers that have ever been released. You ever see the trailer for Lost Odyssey, which uses White Rabbit by Starship? Or Jefferson Airplane, actually.
No, I haven't seen that.
Look up the trailer for Lost Odyssey with that uses White Rabbit. But Expedition 33 for me. How about you guys? I mean, it can't be a sequel. It can't be a remake. It can't be,
Let's see. I thought there was something. Now I gotta go and look. Hold on. I can look at my Steam wish list. I think there was something.
How about you, TJ, while he's looking?
For me, it's probably Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves, just because. I guess that would be.
That's in a series. Come on. There are a lot of good original games that were shown on.
Let's see.
All you have to do is look in the past notes. I mean, it's not that hard.
It's harder when you say it can't be a sequel or a remake because.
See, that's depressing. See, here, that's the thing. The depressing thing is that we as gamers, we just want the next number. You know.
Well, are you counting Indiana Jones' Great Circle like that?
Yes, I guess so. It has to be a new IP. Let me put it that way. I mean, South of Midnight. Just from the Xbox thing, you have South of Midnight. You have Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. You have Fragpunk. You have Winterboro. Oh, the Winterboro, the mouse survival game.
Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. I got one.
Avowed.
Eric's Home.
Which one?
Eric's Home.
Oh, okay.
The Stolen Dream. It looks totally new, totally different. I've not really seen a game quite like this. It looks like there's isometric and there's cinematics, and it's really beautiful, and I really like the emotions that I can see on the characters' faces. So I'm very intrigued by this game, and it looks like it's coming out next year, or at least it's slated for next year. So that's one. Then that's not a series or remake or anything.
I gave an easy out with Avowed. I gave you an easy out with Avowed there, Scott.
Well, I was going to say Avowed, but that's Pillars, so I can't really...
Oh, that's right. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. It is a sequel, kind of, sort of. It's a spin-off.
I think if I'm going to choose one of any of these things, it's probably UFO 50. Okay. Because Spelunky Team, making mini games, hell yeah.
I kind of want to get that because I feel like there's like a hidden story going on, and I want to see if it actually goes somewhere, you know? It's like one of those games that you on the surface looks like one way, but when you play it, there's like another story going on, and I really want to see if that's what's going on.
Even if it's just 50 games made by Spelunky
Team, they look good.
I have a feeling they're gonna be good because it's made by Spelunky Team.
Right. Mm-hmm. I thought you might have gone for Mixtape there, DJ.
Mixtape looks cool, but I like Spelunky a lot. Spelunky is probably one of my favorite roguelike platformers I've ever played. And Spelunky 2 is even better.
Generation Exile seemed really interesting, too, because you're on this generational ship going through space, and you have a bunch of generations of people that you're trying to keep alive to reach your destination. That really seems interesting, and I don't think I've ever seen a game like that, with that kind of story anyways.
Yeah. You know what game was not shown at the Xbox thing, which I still have a lot of interest in? I know you have a lot of interest in it too, TJ. You know what? I was hoping that we might see more about Clockwork Revolution. An Exiles game. Remember their version of BioShock Infinite?
Yeah. I mean, they just showed it earlier this season, right?
No, they showed it last year.
Oh, okay. So it's been longer than
there has been some information that was released like 2 weeks ago. But there was no I mean, they're talking about how it's coming along fantastic, and there's new information revealed about it, but I wanted to see more of Clockwork Revolution. Because here's the thing, it's not the sort of game you expect from an Exile, you know? You expect stuff like Wasteland, but not Clockwork Revolution. So of all the games, now we're talking about all the games, sequels, reboots, whatever, which one is the one that you're looking forward to the most?
Of all the sequels and reboots?
Of all the games. I mean, of all the games. It doesn't have... I'm no longer saying it has to be an original IP.
Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves, by far. Like, I loved Fatal Fury. That was maybe the first fighting game I ever played in my entire life.
Okay.
So, seeing the best version of it, getting a new sequel that is going to be on new consoles, I am very excited. Killing Floor is probably a runner-up. I love Killing Floor, and Killing Floor 3 finally getting a release window is super exciting to me because I'm going to spend hours upon hours in that game once it comes out.
Yeah, I got it confused with another game. What was the name of that Wii game which was in black and white but very bloody? I forgot the name of it.
Wii game that was in black. Oh, yeah, Mad World.
Yeah, for some reason I got it confused with that game.
I could see that. I could see getting. They're both very grisly.
Yeah, but Mad World had that sort of like artistic thing, you know. It's black and white, and geez, that came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
As for me, it's a tough choice. It's between Civilization 7 and State of Decay 3. I'm gonna go with State of Decay 3 because I already know what Civilization's gonna give me. You know, there's a lot of questions like, you know, what is diplomacy gonna be like? Who are the leaders gonna be like? What changes are going to make to the thing, you know, and all that stuff. That I get it. But State of Decay 3 has been worrisome to me because I am worried it's going to be a live service game. And it seemed like, you know, here's the thing. Original descriptions of the game seemed like, yeah, it was going to be a live service style game. And I think they've pulled that back because I think a lot of people have realized that live service games people don't like anymore. The only ones that they... Here's the thing. They're going to stay with the ones. That's why the ones that are already out, they've been making sure that people are pleased with. Like Fallout 76 has come a long way from its first launch. You know, here's the thing. I see people on my friends list who are now playing a lot of Fallout 76 because it's that much improved. Microsoft purchasing Bethesda. If Bethesda was never purchased by Microsoft, that would have died on the vine and they would have just let it die. Microsoft said, no. We need live service games that we can work on. By the way, whatever happened to Sony releasing 10, 15, 14 live service games in 3 years, I don't think that's materialized.
No, I don't think it has either.
Especially with that, when The Last of Us live service game died, it's like, yep, that's it. They've completely dumped it.
Yeah, now it's just Destiny 2 and Marathon, which is also being made by Bungie.
Yeah, and what's going on with that? I keep on hearing bad things. Like there's just so much going on with it.
I know that people have been folks have enjoyed the new expansion that came out for Destiny 2.
Which is good if Bungie wants to remain independent, they need that.
Yeah. So good thing that they stuck the landing on that because if they've had some bad misses in the very recent past, and I don't think that they could probably deal with another one.
Here's the thing. People don't seem to realize that Bungie is really terrible at hitting deadlines. Really, really, really terrible. They like to romanticize it, but remember, Halo 2 was chopped in half because they couldn't finish that game. That's why they had to finish the fight in the middle. You know, I will say this though. You know, it worked out okay because Halo 3 was a masterpiece, and so was, by the way, Halo Reach. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff shown in that Halo 2 thing which never materialized in it.
Yeah, but then they got to do the Finish the Fight campaign, and everybody loved that.
Yeah. So, how about this? Should I remind you of Silent Hill 2 Remastered? Or is that on your list there at TJ?
Silent Hill 2 Remastered? I'm waiting to see. I'm not down on it like a lot of people have been. I'm willing to see what Bloober Team will do, because it doesn't look bad, and they haven't led me astray this far. But
did you like the medium?
I liked the concept. I don't think it ended very well. But but as far as like what Bloober Team does, I feel like they have a good handle on horror, and I feel like they've been taking their time and making sure they get this one right. Even to the point where like the original Silent Hill team has been like they aren't involved, but they have been like consulting on this. Apparently Konami wanted to like keep it. Wanted to like what and the Silent Hill team that was consulting wanted to like do crazy new things with the remake, and Bloober Team was like, let's not go too off the rails. Which I don't know, like I think them being able to put their foot down and say, no, we should make this respectful and reverent of the source material is kind of a good sign in my opinion.
So speaking of Konami, I've been waiting for those Suikoden remasters. But I don't know when those are coming out. But for me, I would pick it's either between Visions of Mana or the Trials to Daybreak.
Well, we all know what the number one game, the entire game was, right? I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's the one in which you get to play an action game as a house, and you have to fight other houses.
Yeah, the house relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The game in which you play a house, and you jump around as a house, yeah. That's probably the number one game. I don't remember the name of the game, but actually, of all the cozy games, the Screenbound seems the most interesting.
Screenbound,
That's
cool
very
as hell.
creative.
I actually get to talk to that guy the designer behind that next week, and I'm very excited for that interview because that game looks very fun.
Yeah. Anyways, we do have listener feedback from Ralph on episode 723. He says, "Hi guys, thanks for the episode. I did not find time to listen to your show on a regular basis last month, so I'm very sorry for that. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and all that took a lot of time and energy." No shit. No shit. You can listen to a podcast while you're having to move and start a new job, and it's like. I hope to listen to it more in the future. One of you guys reminding me all the time, every time there's a new episode, so I'll not miss any. Regarding this episode 723, I did not play much, nearly nothing to be honest. The only thing I played was 1 or 2 hours of Diablo 4 with a friend because of the new season. I did not find any time for playing Magic the Gathering, which is an indicator for my non-existing free time. Yeah, so if you don't know that, Ralph is really big into Magic the Gathering. And what's funny is that that's a CCG I don't really hear much about. I hear about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that stuff. But Magic is the granddaddy of them all. You know people who play Magic?
Yeah, I mean it's they keep adding more expansions. They've added all like Fallout characters now, and I think the Walking Dead characters and just all sorts of characters are added into that thing now.
Oh god, I have a box somewhere of Magic cards from 1997, 98. I wonder how some of those cards are worth now. None of them are foil, unfortunately, but But if I have any alpha or beta cards, you never know.
Those, yeah. Do you have an original Black Lotus?
No, I don't. I checked a long time ago. I don't have any of the banned cards. I don't have any Moxes. I don't have any Black Lotuses. I don't have any Larry Niven's discs. I don't have any of those. Ralph says, I was never into Call of Duty. I never played any of these, so I don't really care about releases on whatever platform. I will say this, though. I will play the zombie mode of any game. And Call of Duty is supposed to have the best zombie mode, so I'm going to try that out sometime. Because here's the thing, I want my Left 4 Dead fix, and Bound for Blood did not fix that. Back for Blood.
Yeah, I was actually talking about this with someone the other night. I feel like one of the issues that people have gotten wrong when trying to make new Left 4 Dead stuff is strapping a lot of hackneyed progression systems to that.
It's just grab a gun and shoot. That's all it is.
Like Back 4 Blood didn't
live service the hell out of the game.
They didn't need all those cards. They didn't need all that deck play and unlocking new shit after every mission.
Here's the thing. That game? I forgot the name of it. I just said the name of it actually a few seconds ago. But that game where you crush a card to change, like, make everybody big in and all that stuff. That I wouldn't mind in a game like Left 4 Dead, in which you have cards with you, and you take 1 or 2 cards and you can crush it to alter the game in that way. That would be fun. But yeah, you really need to have an elemental aspect to just you have a gun. You can find guns out there that might be better, and you have zombies and you have special zombies. Boom, there's your game. What I want is more and harder. That's what I want.
Yeah, and like the beauty of Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 is that it didn't have all these progression systems. You just played through scenarios of like that were basically ripped from other horror movies.
The main reason to play those games is to listen to the interaction between the characters.
Absolutely.
I remember one in which he says, "I hate this," and what's it called? And then he says, "I hate this," and they actually had one in which they went all in on him hating everything, and all the characters were commenting on hating everything. This is why I do like puppies.
Yeah, and similarly, like it wasn't just Back 4 Blood that was guilty of doing that too. World War Z was also like palatable, but it also had all these dumb progression systems just strapped to it that were completely unnecessary. Just let me fight off hordes of zombies, bro. Let me fight off some specials now and then. Don't make me have to die so that I can level up a class a certain amount so I can get a slightly better weapon that will give me a slightly better net chance of surviving the mission. Just let me rely on my own skill and roll with the punches as they come.
And
that's
also,
what made Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 so good.
Here's the other thing. If you're going to have, cosmetics, have them all unlocked just so I can customize my person just right from the start. So you don't have to think, "Ooh, would you like this kind of gun? Well, shoot this many things." No, I don't want to do that. I just want it. If you're going to have cosmetics, just let them all have that. What I want are bigger levels and the ability to make it really hard so that those fuckers who think they have exploits, no. Fuck them. Because here's the thing I don't like when I'm playing Left 4 Dead is when someone's played a lot, they take these routes which are basically exploiting the geometries and just bypassing everything. What my idea? Where is the fun in that? What the fuck? I just want to. I know they're there. I just don't want to use them. I want to fight against the game. I don't want to exploit the game. So yeah, I want games that are harder and just brutal, and that people. I want a game that is hard enough that you keep dying, but not so hard that you rage quit because you think it's not your fault. It's the game's fault. If I die, I want to know it's because of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I knew things were on the wrong track when they made. What was the name of that first game? That was the first attempt at an asymmetrical game with monsters and trappers. People have perfected it now. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Avowed? No, not Avowed. It begins with an A, I'm pretty sure. Turtle Rock made it, and I'm trying to remember what the fuck the name of that game was.
Evolve.
Yeah, Evolve was the first of a genre that's finally gotten good. I can't tell you how many people love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Because it's Friday the 13th, except, they have a license that they can keep in perpetuity. They don't have to worry about Sean S. Cunningham saying, "That's mine!"
Dead by Daylight also seemed to have found the formula that makes it work as far as just not just having original content and doing interesting game modes, but also the sheer amount of licensed content that makes it kind of like it's a gallery of horror fandom.
But with today's computers, I weep at thinking of what Left 4 Dead 3 could have been, Except Valve doesn't count to 3.
Yeah.
I want Left 4 Dead 3, damn it. And I want it done right. I just want to... And that's why I'm so interested in playing Call of Duty Zombies, because I want to see what that's like, I mean, I've heard good things. A lot of Call of Duty players... I don't play Call of Duty, but since it's going to be on Game Pass, guess what? I have no excuse now. It's free. It's going to be plopped on my lap. It's like, you want to do some zombies? Sure, let me try it. And apparently I skipped the bad age in which it wasn't, based on rounds. When it was open world and people hated that, and now it's based on rounds. So I got to skip the agita, and now I get to play the good version. Anyways, Grand Theft Auto 6 release. I really think it's funny and in addition fascinating that a game has such an impact that other developers plan around the release of such a big title so that they don't fall apart. I've never played any GTA, but some of my friends do. I bought GTA 5 some months ago and tried to play it, but as mentioned above, my free time is very limited for activities at the moment. Just consider yourself lucky you didn't play GTA 5 because I fucking hate you-know-who.
Mm-hmm.
The game is unpalatable with that jack-off in the game. But here's the thing. What I wish they would have done with GTA 5 is I wish they would have focused more on the heists, because that was fun, having to hire people to do these heists, and you hire people with different skills and all that stuff. But the game was so focused on those three assholes that, I want to play a heist game. And another game that was that was announced a while ago by Microsoft, but has not seen the light of day so far is Contraband. And it seems like Contraband is going to be a heist game. I can't wait to see what Contraband is like if they haven't internally canceled it yet. Remember Contraband?
Yeah, from the makers of Just Cause.
Yeah, so we'll see. Helldivers 2. I heard a lot about it, how much fun it is. You play it with friends, and how many hours my friends have been spending playing it. I think I have to look out for it when I have some time. I really can't do looter shooters. I can't do online shooters. There's a reason why I don't play Counter-Strike 2 anymore, anything like that. Counter-Strike. I never played Counter-Strike 2. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a single-player guy now, which is odd because I talked about zombies, but it's zombies. Co-op zombies. That's all I can say because all the other topics I never heard of, or I can't say anything to it. Please keep up the good work and stay healthy. So, I hope Ralph listens to our 2-hour-long discussion of all the showcases, except for Sony and Nintendo. It was all the showcases except Sony and Nintendo. Those have their own pods. I'm looking for, it's one of those. Here's the thing. A lot of times after all these showcases come out, it's sort of like, okay, so that's coming out. Does it feel to you like this year there was a lot more excitement in general from everybody?
Yeah.
I think because of the pandemic, a lot of games that were supposed to come out didn't come out,
Yeah. And man, it was great to see some of the stuff that we've been waiting on for years finally see the light of day.
A lot of games people thought were dead, like Fable and Perfect Dark.
Fable is the one that I was really, really happy to see finally get gameplay.
I want to see. Here's the thing about Fable is that your actions cause you to physically change. I want to see what happens if you become evil. She starts having those horns, having the horns on her head, and having red skin.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and there's also the aging thing. You know what? My thing was that when I was playing Fable 2, I didn't have it in Fable 3. Fable 2, scars are permanent, and I spent a lot of the game trying to completely avoid getting scarred and see how long I go without having any scars whatsoever. Scott?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up. I'm ready to return to Albion. I like that world. I like its dynamics, and I like its comedy.
Yeah, I tried playing 1 again, and I just couldn't. It was so primitive and, so janky that it's sort of like, how did I ever play this back in the day, Then I realized, just Fable kept on getting better and better. Fable 2 is okay. Fable 3 I can somewhat play. There's a VR version of Fable 3 out there, by the way, in which your character is like on a board, so it's sort of like you're playing with dolls. I want to see if I can get the VR to work with Fable 3 again.
Mm-hmm.
Although it was on Windows for Live, so I don't think they will be able. Scott, are you excited?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, for Visions of Mana, the Trials Daybreak, Dragon Quest III Remake, all very exciting.
Yeah, but the question is, doesn't it feel a little different this year?
Oh, yeah, it does. I think I had different expectations last year. There was more of a, knowing ahead of time. For 2 years, 23 and 24, I pretty much knew what was coming out. But 22 and 23, I pretty much knew what was coming out. 24 has felt a bit different in that aspect.
So, like I said, sort of sad that I couldn't see what was going on with Clockwork Revolution and some other games, but, we can always wait. Again, for me, State of Decay 3, because I still play State of Decay 2 endlessly. Here's the thing about me. I like games in which you have an emergent story that's told, It's just like the game starts creating its own story.
Mm-hmm.
That's also why Civ as well, because Civ, you have your own history that you're building. So. And that's the other thing. I am going to be keeping a sharp eye for news about Civ 7, because I want to know everything that's going to be happening in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun when we start getting into the period of Civ 6 reveals where we finally start getting faction release videos every 2 weeks or so. Because that's kind of always my favorite part of the build up to Civ's launch.
Yeah. Okay, here's a little prediction. They toyed with it a little bit in Civ 6, but I think they're going to make a more dynamic version of the weather in Civ 7.
I have no idea, but I hope that the Scythians come back because they were my absolute favorite.
You just like horses. You're just like, I'm going to make 1 billion Scythian horsemen and just wreck your shit early in the game.
More than that. I like the idea that every barbarian camp that you capture gives you another trooper to use as your own.
Just so you know, everybody, TJ is a big fan of the Zerg Rush.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I like it, which is I like the Canadians and the Australians, in which they give you rewards for the terrain that you're on, especially the Canadians. Oh, there's a lot of snow. Well, guess what? We love snow. Snow is lovely. We like snow. So you get to have these thriving cities where no one else can have them. And if they try to take your city, guess what? You don't have those bonuses. We do. So that city dies. And I think it's cute that Canada can never declare war on anybody. Not allowed. How about you, Scott? What are you looking? What was the one aspect of Civ that you're really interested in finding out about?
I want to find out about how they're managing, just like the world wonders, because they unpack the units, they unpack the cities. So now I want to see what else they unpack. I want to see if they get a satellite layer, so we can do something in the late game. Maybe if we can see corporations come back. There's just, like I said, a lot of questions, and there's a lot of potential of what direction they can go in. It
was Call to Power that things went batshit crazy because they had eco-terrorists and lawyers as units. You remember Call to Power? That was Activision's spin-off of Civilization because Firaxis didn't have the rights to Civilization. What'd be nice is, do you remember the original Civilization board game, and they actually made a video game translation of that game? You don't remember? It was a 1980s Civilization game, and they made a computer version of that game. It actually came out after Civ 1, so there was a little bit of confusion.
Okay, I don't remember the game.
Yeah, it was actually a game called Civilization, which had a different mechanic than than the Civilization we know. You should. It's out there if you want to look up the information. Anyways, look for our show notes at gamingpodcast.net, along with industry news and our gaming history articles. If you enjoy, leave us some comments at our blog at gamingpodcast.net. Sit up at our Facebook.com page and subscribe to us on Podbean and leave some Podbean comments. You can find me on Twitter at Jonah Falcon.
You can find me at Johnny Chugs.
Find Scott at Shard No More.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you next week.
Happy gaming, everyone.
Have fun, be cool, play games, y'all.